Welcome viewers, and thank you so much for joining for this session today from Mirae Asset. My name is Mayuk and I will take you through this session on hybrid funds. And thank you for joining for this session. We will talk about the importance of hybrid funds as a category. How does it help you go through the volatilities of market? How can you have a superior risk adjusted return experience on this category? How does asset allocation and volatility both come together to help you wade through the troubled waters of whether it is equity, debt, or any multi-asset product, when you can look at this as as a very credible and long-term investment option within your investment portfolio. So to talk about the session today, I'll share a presentation for your consumption, and the comment section is already live. During the course of the session, if you have any questions, please do put it into the comment box and we will definitely try to answer them at the end of the session. Let's talk about what the subject which we have for today. So when we talk about hybrid funds, why does this category actually is there in the market and is a very strong part of the mutual fund portfolio of many retail and HNI and individual and non-individual investors. So when you look at the markets, of course, equity markets are inherently volatile. That's how that asset class is. Debt markets also tend to be volatile, while both are talking about the same economy. And when we look at the economy, we would say that on the long term, there are structural growth factors which propel India to become from an emerging nation to become a developed and a far developing nation and economy as it goes ahead. However, when you come to asset classes, they are inherently volatile and they therefore drive the investors' behavior when they look at each of these asset classes for investments. So this is some of just to talk about that volatility is there in every asset class. It impacts all our investments. So what we have covered here is for the last almost 17 years of investment experience and what have been the top of chart of different asset classes in every calendar year. So you would find that there is equity being the three parts of equity being represented here. You have the large cap category, predominantly being the Nifty and the top 100 companies. You have mid cap, which is the 101st and the 250th company on the stock markets, and the small cap being the 251st onwards company available. We're talking about long-term bond, which is investing into long-term debt products. On the GSEC side, which is government security products, you're talking about corporate bonds, which are basically debt papers which are issued by corporates, and there is gold as an investment allocation. Now, if you could look at the chart, you would see, for example, from 2004 to 2007, it was small cap from the equity universe, which was top of the charts. In 2008, actually the top of the chart was the debt schemes. In 2008, after 4 years of bull run from the equity market, you can see that equity, large cap, mid cap, and small cap, which were giving some tremendous returns, were actually minus 52, 59, and 71%. Next year, imagine in 2008, investors would have been very afraid and would have been very shunned away from equities and would have redeemed and trying to save their money, only to see in 2009 that small cap again has given a stupendous return of 107%. 2010, behold, you have not equity but gold coming back and making a comeback, being the next best performer for the next couple of years. And you can see this trend across that none of the winners are winners forever. So therefore, what this slide is trying to tell you is that there is volatility in each asset class, whether it is debt, equity, gold, and similarly the winners change. And therefore, it makes sense to have investments across all the categories at different points of time. To put this into illustration, look at how each of them have been behaving at different points of time. Everybody remembers the global meltdown, the global economy going into a tailspin in 2008. At that point of time, India, like every other major equity market in the world, fell by almost 52% in one calendar year. The same year, debt gave a return of almost 20%. You are not taking any credit risk. You're just buying long-term Indian government paper, and that with the paper which has the least risk of any default has been able to give a return of 20% within 1 year. Go to the next example. Look at 2017 when markets were giving great returns on the equity side. The debt returns were actually flattish to no return in one calendar year because of volatility. Come to the recent example, which everybody would be fresh on everybody's mind. Nifty, which is the large cap, fell by 31% just within 1 year in 2019, especially precipitated by the large fall due to COVID scare last year. At the same time, between 1 year, your debt investments, again in GSECs, in long-term debt of Government of India paper, has given a return of almost 13%. So the idea with these three different years is to tell you that both asset classes are volatile, both have their ups and downs, and both can be a part of your portfolio or not. We will talk in the latest half. So how can you take advantage of this volatility? That is where asset allocation comes in. By spreading your investments across all possible investment options, you are able to spread out your money, and by that you are having different parts of your allocation into different asset classes, different investment products are behaving differently at different point of time, and having low correlation among them makes it that at some point of time, one part of your asset allocation of your portfolio is actually generating decent returns and taking care of any other volatility or fall in your portfolio, rather than one part of the assets or one investments only being the winner every year and you are over allocating there. That doesn't happen all the time, as we have shown in the first slide. So therefore, spreading out your investment makes a lot of difference, and having the right mix is very important for your long-term investment experience. And that is what has been proven by numbers on different journals at different times and different countries also, that it is asset allocation which is the more boring part of spreading your investments around, having diversification, which reduces your risk, and it also reduces the need to time the market, which looks very novel, which is of quite attractive, but it hardly adds anything to the portfolio returns. So more than security selection, which is where to invest, market timing, when to invest, and any other factors like liquidity or global factors, it is actually the plain Jane asset allocation, investing into the right mix, having the right mix in your portfolio is what drives returns. And that's where more than 90% of your returns actually comes from that, while most of the people are trying to control market timing or security selection. That is which avenue, which product, which scheme, and what time do I invest in. In fact, you can marry your asset allocation, having the right asset allocation, into your goals, which is very important. If you have a short-term goal of a holiday in the next 12 to 18 months, you have a medium-term goal to change your car, or you have a long-term goal of having your own house, retirement, all of that can be achieved by having the right asset allocation. Not one asset or one product will be able to generate those returns, and that one investment will be a silver bullet to achieve all your goals. And this is how asset allocation works, because many times it is the investor's own behavior by looking at the news or oscillating between greed and fear is when people tend to steer away from their financial and their life goals. While if they were able to stick to the process and have the right asset allocation, they will not have these feelings when their investments or markets, whether debt or equity or gold, go through different cycles, I would say. So when the markets are high, the chances of having the maximum greed without comes in, where people would tend to overlook the risk factors, while markets, when they are down, is when there will be too much fear and people would not be able to execute to invest during those times when actually it would be better off. To be able to be away from this greed and fear and swing between these two emotions, it is always better to have a proper asset allocation across asset classes. Now, to put it in a different perspective, here is how the Indian asset mix of a hybrid equity category, which is a mix of debt and equity, how has it performed? Now, if you look at the blue line, the dark blue line is the Nifty 50 index return of the last 10 years. Now, every year you can see that the dark blue line has been moving between, say, a 74% in the year 2010 to an 11% to a -9, all within a period of 3 years. Similarly, a 15% in 2019 to a -26% in 2020 to a 71% in financial year 21. So you can see how differently this line has behaved, because that's how equities behave. Light blue line is your debt returns. If you were to invest into a long-term 10-year government security product, it would have oscillated between 0% to an 8% to a -1% in couple of years to 15% returns. But if you were to take a mix of these two products, is the orange line. And that you would see is behaving slightly more in line with both the asset classes. It is working as a mixed product. It is not as volatile, yet it gives you the participation of both asset classes. So over years, it has been seen that because various asset classes and their performance keep on changing, it is best that when you have a asset mixed product like a hybrid product in your portfolio, you are not only getting participation on both asset classes, you are reducing your volatility in both asset classes, and you are getting a more better risk adjusted investment experience. And here is another example to tell you how this has happened and with over a period of time, how interest rates have moved in India as it happens in any other developing economy, and how that has impacted returns. Here, I would take your attention to the orange line. When you look at that, that is how the interest rate regime has been in India. What was almost 8.5% to at some point of time 9%, but here it was almost 8%. Today, that repo rate, which is the bank rates, has come down to 4%. Now imagine when cost of funds has reduced over the last 10 years it has become half. See how equity markets have actually rallied and how debt funds have also given better returns. To illustrate by example, imagine a company where its cost of funds was almost 8%, and today the cost of funds for that company is 4%. It is able to borrow at 8% earlier, and now it is able to borrow at 4%. Today, because its cost of borrowing has come down, that company with the same business, same earnings is able to earn 4 rupees more. So naturally, when its earning has moved up by 4 rupees, you would tend to probably look at that company in a more better manner, because its earning has gone up by 4 rupees, so its stock price will move up. That's exactly the dark blue line, which is the equity markets. Similarly, when interest rates have come down, the Indian GSEC returns, the 10-year GSEC returns, government security returns have also improved, because as interest rates go down, long-term papers are more attractive. So the idea here is to tell you that in 10 years, as interest rates have fallen, both asset classes have benefited. The degree of benefit is actually different because of that's how those asset classes are supposed to behave. But the actual driver of these returns is 10-year interest rates coming down has helped both equity and debt. Therefore, an asset allocation in debt and equity has worked for our investors, because the driving factor, the tailwind behind lower interest rates, is helping both asset classes. So by asset allocation, you are able to find a middle way where you are getting equity linked returns, but at a lesser volatility. So which asset class will perform? Many people keep on debating this. It is very impossible to predict which asset class will perform. So future looking statements, trying to predict the future, most of the time doesn't work. It's literally looks like a 50-50 call at any point of time. So rather than basing anybody's long-term investment experience on tossing a coin or trying to guess how the future would be, it is always better to control the controllable, which is controlling your asset allocation and the emotions and the expectations from any asset class. So let's talk about the product which we have been talking, which we wanted to bring your attention to, that how does investing in hybrid fund help? Here is an example that what has been the maximum fall in equity or on the debt side in a single day in the last 10 years. So in the last 1 year, the equity has fallen at max by 3.8%. The debt has fallen by 1.2% in the last 1 year. And the hybrid category has fallen at max by 2.6%. So in 3 years, or in 5 years, or last 7 years or 10 years, equity has fallen max is 13%, which is in last year in 2020 because of the COVID scare. The debt has fallen maximum as 3.4% in the last 10 years was in 2017, when there was a run on all emerging market economies and there was an expectation of taper tantrum or euro issues and so on. But if you look at it, in between both a large fall of 13% in a day or a fall of 2% or 3% in a day on the debt side lies the answer that in a hybrid fund, the maximum fall has been in the last 10 years has been 8%, or the minimum fall or the maximum fall in the last 1 year in this category has been minus 2.6%. The idea being that when markets fall, either in debt side or on the equity side, you have the middle ground working for you. That is where asset allocation, your allocation between both the asset classes minimizes the days of such volatility and falls, because these falls actually spook investors from taking the right decision. But actually during such times, the fear should not set in, because your asset allocation is going to reduce the fear or reduce the impact of such market flows. Imagine on such a day when markets are falling 13% on equity side, but the asset for the investor, it has in the hybrid category, it has fallen by 8%. Actually, the investor has been able to have a situation where the fall is not of 8%, but they have been able to save about 5% on their portfolios had they been fully invested on the equity side. Why hybrids is also for the same reason to talk about it. A, it gives you lower volatility. That's what the light blue line is giving for you. It is giving you, unlike equity, the falls are lesser, and unlike debt, it is giving you a slightly better return than equity. So in between, you are getting a superior investment experience. The returns are not, the falls are not as harsh as on the equity side. The returns are not as muted as on the debt side, and you are getting the middle ground. So lower volatility when you compare it to pure equity products. The tax efficiencies are better because the rebalancing is being done at the fund management side. While you were to do it on your own, selling equity to buy debt, or buy debt, or buy debt, or vice versa, the tax implications for an individual person will be higher. While in this case, the fund being 65% being invested into equity qualifies as an equity taxation benefit. And this is also a great category to be in for any investor who is lying to put in some lump sum money and then try to do a withdrawal plan from such products where they are able to generate slightly better tax efficient regular income instead of taking on the dividend side. Also, within the hybrid category, not all hybrid categories are same. There are predominantly 5 categories as given by the regulator on the hybrid fund category. You have a conservative hybrid, which invests very minimum percentage into equity between 10 to 25%, and balance larger part of the fund is invested into the debt side, therefore giving you a slightly lower volatility as compared to an aggressive hybrid, which is on the other side of the spectrum, which is about 65 to 80% invested into equity, and debt is the balance 25 to 30%, 35%. You have an equity savings category, which is a mix between equity, arbitrage, and debt, and the taxation is for you is on the equity side. You have the dynamic asset allocation, or so to say the balance advantage category, where the allocation to equity, debt, and to arbitrage is being changed dynamically It is being changed on a monthly or on a weekly basis, and in some cases on a daily basis, based on what are the views on the equity market for that scheme and for the fund manager. And you have a multi-asset allocation category, which actually invests into three distinct asset classes. Usually this is between debt, equity, and gold. Usually their taxation is based on whether they tilt more towards equity or they are towards the non-equity debt and gold side. There is another interesting part to talk about why people should look at the hybrid category fund vis-a-vis trying to do the equity and debt allocation on their own. And doing the debt and equity allocation on their own or into separate funds is also possible. However, there is a significant difference between doing it themselves and doing it through a fund. If you were to do it through a hybrid, aggressive hybrid category and have a 65-35% allocation within the fund, because of the nature of the fund and its tax implication, you are getting a equity taxation benefit, which is 10% plus cess. Were you to do it on your own and segregate your investment into an equity fund for your equity allocation, the same 65%, and put the money into 35% into a debt fund. And if you were to trying to reallocate, if equity markets were to go down and you were to switch from the debt to equity fund, you would be paying the short-term or the long-term capital gains tax, because it would be an exit out of the debt fund and an entry into the equity fund. This would reduce your post-tax return experience, as it has been exhibited in the 1 year, assuming a return of 8%. The aggressive hybrid, you are making a return of 7.2. Were you to do it yourself, it is 6.64. The same thing if the fund were to give in a return of 12% over a period of 3 years. Post-taxation, if you were to do it yourself, it would give a return of 10.56. While on the equity side, on the aggressive hybrid side, you would get a return of 10.8%. The best thing which this category, the aggressive hybrid, gives you, that the fund house and the fund manager is doing the reallocation between debt and equity on their own. And you are roughly getting a 65-35% allocation forever into the fund without having to worry about asset allocation, without worrying about rebalancing or taking a view on which asset class to be in. While that is being done by the fund on your behalf, you know what sort of allocation you are invested in, and you are getting the benefit of equity taxation. So these are very key benefits compared to trying to do it yourself vis-a-vis doing it into the fund. If you look at it, this is how sometimes the reallocations happen. When stocks go up, funds would, when markets are down, the fund manager would try to increase the allocation from equity and increase it more. And when the markets are high, reduce the stock allocation from 85, let's say, to 70%. If stocks go down, they bring it down further. And when they find that markets are looking attractive, increase the equity allocation. This is an illustration to show you how it can be done within the fund house, within the scheme, while you get your debt and equity allocation within one scheme. There is definitely this narration in the market. And as investors, you have the option to buy into a static asset allocation product, which roughly over a period of time ranges between a 65 to 70% equity and 30 to 35% on debt side, where the endeavor is always to buy low on both asset classes and sell when markets are high, whether it is debt or equity. While the dynamic rebalancing models, which are based on PE, price to book value, price to equity, or various other models, the idea is there to try to time the market rather than taking an asset allocation view. The view is whether at X levels the markets, debt or equity, look attractive or they look expensive, and therefore reduce the allocations. So for example, on the BAF and dynamic asset allocation category, while it has been seen that equity can range between 0 to 100%, usually it is between 60 to 62%, and which is exactly the same allocation when we look at on the equity aggressive hybrid side, which is 65% at any point of time, while here the the movement within the equity, with arbitrage or debt side on the dynamic rebalancing happens a lot. So if you look at the maximum or the minimum returns on the aggressive hybrid, you would find that because of a static asset allocation where they are not trying to time the market but trying to and buy low and sell high, the hybrid fund category has given a median return of almost 11.17%, while the dynamic asset allocation category has given a return of 9.66%. So there lies the benefits of having a static asset allocation where set allocations actually give returns to the investor rather than trying to tweak it very frequently while to create an extra return. So as every investor tries to balance between taking too much risk and putting their financial goals at risk, while not taking enough risk, also creates situations for such investors where they are not beating inflation and therefore not having adequate investment amount for their financials or life goals to be met in the future. So the balance is always between taking too much risk or taking too little risk, and that's where hybrid category and asset allocation is helping such investors. If you look at how investors have moved into the Indian mutual fund markets, people have actually been investing into bank deposits. They should have actually moved to liquid plus and liquid funds, then look at debt funds, short, long-term durations, and hybrid funds, while investors actually have jumped straight away from fixed deposits directly into equity funds for the want of returns, while not understanding the volatility which such investments bring in with. Ideally, they could have moved from fixed deposits to some debt funds, which give you a certain amount of investment experience in line with debt returns with some risk and some volatilities, but slightly better returns. Moving towards hybrid, where you start having those allocations in debt and equity within one single product, and then finally move to equity. Investors looking for equity exposure should have more than moderate risk profile. So with this journey, investors are also able to move on their risk profile experience rather than just trying to go from bank FDs to straight away into equity funds. And the allocation across all these categories will help them achieve their financial goals. So who should be looking at to invest into such products? People who are looking at wealth creation, but are also expecting slightly lesser volatility and not comfortable with so much volatility in their portfolios. Anybody who's new into the equity investment horizon probably can start with a hybrid product or a lesser volatility product and then move on to the products as they mature and as their goals are being as their financial goals start being planned and put into into their financial products and their asset allocation, and therefore that's how their portfolio will look like. People who have suitable risk balance and have risk tolerance, what sort of product they are looking at, or anyone who's looking to create a systematic withdrawal plan also to generate some income from their investments. Why are we talking about this now? This is how funds have looked like over the period of time, how within 1 month you can see that how uncertainty persists, especially in COVID times. If you look at Sensex, you look at Nifty, you will find that markets have been going up and down. Different time, different news comes in and people get impacted. Therefore, at all points of time, we would suggest that a hybrid investing can become a very core part of an investor's portfolio. So conclusion, all asset classes are volatile. Asset allocation keeps you in the game because that helps for any investor as the winners keep rotating and you are well suitably diversified and allocated across different asset classes so that you are participating in such winners. A static rebalancing helps you have a set risk profile of your portfolio and you know that much amount you have investing in, it historically gives you a better performance. And a hybrid has the potential to give you a better risk experience while in the pursuit of better returns for achieving your life goals. So as one of the key investors, Ray Dalio has talked about, you should have a strategic asset allocation mix that assumes you don't know what the future is going to hold. Because we don't know how the future and how asset classes will behave. That is where a asset mix helps you wade through those troubled waters. So thank you for hearing us out and being patiently hearing to our what we have been talking about. Thank you so much for patiently hearing us, our part of this hybrid product category and the strategy which comes with it and the benefits it brings to you as an investor. Thank you for patiently hearing us out and being so active on the question answer session and coming out with various facets and various questions which you had about this category. We wish you all the best in your investment experience, and we would hope that you go back with some thoughts about to consider hybrids as a core part of your investment strategy. Thank you so much. We wish you all the best and take care. And with that, we'll end the session. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.